we all know like how abysmally low it is. And I don't even think the trans community was on that, unfortunately, on that report. Yeah, exactly. So that like, but it showed that like, of all sci-fi, something like 6 or 7% of the protagonists were women of color. And then I forget what the percentage was for just people of color in general, so men and women included. But like most of them were Will Smith. Think about that for a second.
We're Will Smith.
Before The Force Awakens came out, most of the like black men / just even if you want to put the whole group together, people of color in sci-fi in protagonist main roles were Will Smith. So yeah, we have a lot of work to do. And now The Force Awakens has come out and all the other, sequel trilogy have come out. We have Star Trek Discovery. We have all these other ones. So we're expanding, we're growing, but the trans community is still not represented. And specifically speaking to sci-fi and fantasy, we have these amazing themes and stories that we need trans voices in. We need. And I don't even, okay. So I have like a mini production development title that I work under called Starshade Media. And the mission of that is to create sci-fi and fantasy and genre work that has those specific minorities as protagonists, not just characters, not wearing like a Klingon face, not being mo-capped like Lupita, covering up all that beauty. I love that character, but still, come on. But like having us in protagonist roles. And I have collaborators who are trans women. I have NB collaborators who I'm in the early stages of creating those types of projects with. And I hope to help contribute to that personally, but also to help support anything I see. If there are any please, I hope that anyone in this room, if you see a trans sci-fi story, like a sci-fi story made by trans people, with a trans woman as the lead, I want to see that. So please share that. Help spread the word, and let's all be advocates.
Mm-hmm. Good first question.
Yeah, that is great.
Anybody else? No one else just wants. They're like these.
Bueller?
Yeah.
Bueller. So I think a lot of what you were saying with representation versus participation, my thoughts on that is, as actors, so much of our career is out of our control, right? We're waiting for that phone call. We're waiting for the audition. We're waiting for the role to be written. So if we feel that we belong in a category that's not widely represented, then, we're going to be waiting for a very long time. One of the things I've noticed you all saying is that you are wearing all the hats. So you're not just acting, but you're producing and you're directing and you're writing and you're creating your own projects. And I think that's a huge step too in being able to create the roles for ourselves that we want to be seen as, or we want to see on screen so we can cast what we think is missing. What are some of the projects that you guys are excited to be working on? Or what is your dream project that you would want to create and maybe put yourself in or see?
Oh, God. What? Yeah.
Or something that you've done.
I kind of actually did. Well, just in since Star Trek continues, if I wasn't an actor, I really wanted to be a psychologist, which is kind of funny. I want to go back and get my master's, but in the show, it's a Star Trek show where I play the psychologist, so it kind of was great, just a psychologist with very specific scaffolding involved every day. But yeah, I think what person wouldn't want to think about themselves as some kind of superhero? I think that's pretty to set your imagination on fire would be amazing. But as far as creating your dream content, I would have no idea where to even start. I'll be honest with you, I have no idea where to even start. I want to hear from you that obviously are much further along in your human development, because you
have to take a minute to think about it, because we've never been asked this before.
Yeah.
I'll jump in.
In the perfect world.
Do it.
Okay, I for years have been wanting to do a Guinan series.
What? I'm sorry?
Guinan.
Ooh, yes. Girl, yes.
Yeah, and so I am I actually wrote one with a collaborator, Shelton Perry, several years ago, and we've like pitched around here and there, but like soft pitching, and we haven't like actually met with CBS or anything. And then we both, we've been working on our own projects and our own careers, have done different things. But now I'm like reworking that, and I want to like see if it has some legs, because there's so much Star Trek right now. Like there's so much new content, and Guinan, come on, Guinan is like hundreds of years old. There's so many stories to tell there. So that's like, I think that's my dream project, to get to create that series and write on it. And I don't think I want to play Guinan anymore, because I want an actress who actually looks more like Whoopi Goldberg to play her. And I want more, colorism is a really big issue, and I want a woman who is darker skinned than me to play Guinan, because I think that would be dope. And I want to see, my mom is a chocolate lady, so I want to see that on the screen as Guinan. But yeah, I think that's my dream project right now. And then of course, yeah, I would love to just like play a Marvel superhero. Come on, like,
yeah. Oh, I just thought of mine real quick. It would be a Galaxy Quest, the series. Yeah. But I mean, and we do kind of somewhat have that, kind of
Orville.
With Orville a little bit, but I don't know. I think we could do it better.
Do that too, though.
I think we could do it better. Right? Yeah. Okay.
I grew up on Carol Burnett, so I used to perform sketches in my living room for my parents, and then I would force my older brother to join me. So I love comedy. Comedy is I just love comedy. And so after when I left Power Rangers, my first job after that was called Smart Guy, which was a sitcom. So and it was live theater. For me, it was like, because I love theater too. I grew up doing theater. So it was a combination. I don't know if any of you have ever been in the audience during a sitcom. Show of hands, anybody ever been? Yeah. So you're in front of a live studio audience, and then you also have the cameras. So it's like bringing theater and television together. So my dream has always been to be a showrunner on a sitcom. And I wrote a show a few years back called Class Dismissed, and we developed it into a web series. We did 2 seasons of it. I've created a feature film for it. And so it's been a long process, rewrites and all of that stuff. So my dream would be producing. I want to produce more than just comedy, but I would love to have a sitcom. I would love to be the star of the sitcom, or at least, I don't even have to be the star of my sitcom. Just, I want to create jobs for other people as well. So I would want to be a series regular in my own sitcom and be known as the executive producer. But I really would like to get that out. That would be that's my dream, and it's going to happen, y'all. I was believing it.
At Christmas, just before I went back home to Australia, I was going through all the photos of the year, and I'd forgotten how cool the year had been. Like when we had our baby on December the 13th, and I thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mum. And my guy's like, "What?" And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "How many babies do I have to not do anything?" He's like, "A lot more than that." I'm like, "Oh no." So last year was at a month. She was at the opening of hashtag in the UK. We'd flown the baby to London. Every single weekend, pretty much after that, we went to Denver, DC, to Australia, to San Francisco, to literally every single weekend, maybe missing a couple. We were in a different town, mainly in the US, but also in the UK and also Australia with this little one. So it was so bloody cool. And again, that's all of your making, It goes back to, I've been so blessed, working for the Henson Company and SciFi Channel and all the top television shows in Australia, and now to be living in Los Angeles, meeting all you guys, and literally the last few projects have all been fan created, and hashtag was this beautiful short film. It was 2 fans that came up to me at DragonCon and they said, would you be into reading this script? And I read it and I was blown away because I'd moved back to shoot Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge Series 2 because they said it was definitely happening. And then I'd moved everything over, my dog, my cat, my life, and we waited for a year and I couldn't audition for anything else. So you're like, how do you earn a living while you're on hold? And they're like, oh, by the way, we're not picking up that show. I'm like, what? So there've been a lot of whats, and you guys have been my saviour for all those really dark times. So they came up to me, they said, would you be interested? I said, how are we going to do it? They said, we're going to do this thing called Kickstarter. It was back when Kickstarter was just sort of bubbling. And I was like, I can't ask you guys for money. You've already supported me so much. And they said, listen, people really love joining forces and telling stories together and supporting each other like this. So we asked for 40,000. We raised just over 44,000. We shot it. It's been getting really good credits around the festival circuit. As I said before, we want to turn it into something bigger. But I sent it to Brian Henson and I sent it to the creator of Farscape because they've been talking about bringing Farscape back. So I wanted to keep myself in their vision. So I'm like, oh, hey, just letting you know, this is a little project that we've just done. And I wasn't meant to send the film out to anyone because it's, going around the circuit. And the producer and director had specifically said, this is for you, your eyes only. I'm like, yes. Hey, by the way, Brian Henson. So I send it to him and he wrote me back an email almost within 5 minutes, which he never does. Usually it takes a couple of days and the secretary replies or whatever. And he goes, this is the most astounding work I've ever seen you done. Bravo. Like the best beautiful email, as did the other creator, beautiful Rockney O'Bannon. So anyway, at DragonCon this year, we were doing a panel and the two, Brian Henson, Rockney's in the panel. And the producer and the director are in the audience. And I said, I've been working, about hashtag. And Brian goes, I just have to interrupt for a minute. I've seen it. It's fantastic. I was like, well, they can't fire me now, And afterwards, the producer and the director came up and they said, you know what? We'll let you have that. That's okay. We don't mind that you accidentally showed it to Brian Henson. That's fine. So the whole point of this very long story is that making your own projects is so satisfying, even probably more than anything that you've ever been employed as, because the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. So I plan to do a lot more of that. I just get so distracted with the little Skywalker going, mummy, mummy, mummy. But I need to wake up 2 hours earlier to get that done. Note to self.
By the way, I just need to say this out loud. I want to eat your baby.
I want to eat my baby. She's so cute.
All right, we're in the last couple of minutes. Do we have any other questions from the audience for the panel here? No.
What?
Yes.
Literally looking. Oh, yay!
Because you just had a baby, and when I was in my acting days, it was, we're not going to hire you if you're married, you're going to have thinking about having a family, or the thing is, when you do, I know the director of Juno, she did all this great stuff with Juno, and everyone did her, then she decided, well, I'm going to stop and have my family, tried to come back, and they said, what have you done lately?
Right, yeah.
And that's another big obstacle I see for women in anything, in any business actually, is how do you get over the fact that you're seen as either a worker or a breeder. How do you face that challenge?
Oh my God, that's so harsh. You're a worker or you're a breeder?
So far, so good, touch wood. Although when I heard Farscape, we were starting to work on another one, and then I heard whispers of Farscape coming back. I'm like, no, shop's closed. So I think you can make it work. You just got to get the timing right. But so far, Sky's been very good, and we'd like to squeeze a couple more out, hopefully. But we'll see what happens.
She does not look like she had a child. So most people don't look like that when they've had, I did not look like, after I gave birth to my first child, I remember going for a checkup. And a woman was like, how far along are you? I was like, oh God, he's already born. It was just awful. But I love that question because I feel like when you step out of the business, even when I stepped out of the business for a second to have my children, they're 2.5 years apart. Obviously, it's been 16, 19 years. A lot of the casting directors that were bringing me straight to producers, it was like I had to start all over again. It was ridiculous. But you're so right. It's like women step out of the business for a while. I'm sure maybe it happens with men as well, but you step out of the business for a while, it's like you've been forgotten. And you have to start all over again.
I don't have kids, but I have a chronic illness. And I'm in a similar place of having to re-enter the, re-meeting casting directors. And I kind of relate to this in that way. And it's hard. It's exciting to me that I have the energy to do it. I'm excited. I'm so glad to be here because a couple of years ago I was in a lot of pain and crazy fatigue and couldn't do this stuff. Even conventions, like I stopped going to conventions because it was real bad. So it's hard, but I think taking time away can actually be the best thing that happens to you too, because you can come back to it fresh and with new eyes and a new person. I feel like in a lot of ways, I'm not a new person, but I am more the person that I am now than I was 4 or 5 years ago when I was pounding the pavement and the casting directors who I knew me and would call me in for stuff. I'm now like more myself. So I'm bringing a more whole person to them because I took the time away to deal with my illness. And I think maybe there's some correlation with having kids. I can't say because that's not my experience, but I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and women, everyone gets chronic illness. So yeah, you're right. When it's having a baby, it's like specific to women. Coming back from that is different. You're right. Yeah.
We're going to be down at our table now.
Yeah.
Yes, we are going to have to run out of here when we're done, but we're down at the
124.
Yeah, is it
GeekFest?
120?
I think it's 124
or 126.
You'll find us. We're loud.
We're like
She's
against
loud.
a wall.
She's
Just
loud.
yes,
You'll find us.
so easy.
Yeah, and then
But-
there will be screenings in this room for the GeekFest
Right.
Film Festival right after here. They'll be screening movies all day if you guys want to watch any of these fan films that are here. Some of them are really, really amazing. Tomorrow we also have a Women of Horror panel. What time is that? Is that 11 o'clock as well? I think it's 11 o'clock as well. And then we have the GeekFest Filmmakers panel at 3:30. So all of the GeekFest stuff will be in this room. Quickly in closing, how can people reach out to you? Social medias and...
Yeah, I am at Aliza Pearl, ALIZA Pearl, and I'll be on an online streaming Star Trek campaign called Clear Skies as a guest, and also we're going to do our own all Klingon campaign in a few months starting up, so look out for that.
I'm Gigi Edgley, GIGIEDGLEY, on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. It's the Gigi Edgley because someone stole my name.
I'm Nakia Burisse, and it's 2 R's, 1 S. A lot of people get that wrong. So Instagram is Nakia Burisse. Facebook is Nakia.Burisse. I don't know why. I think somebody, whatever. And then Twitter is Nakia Burisse.
I'm Michele with 1 L. Specht everywhere. SPECHT. Find out what it means.
To me.
On all the places. Come, talk to me. Be weird. I will love you right back. Before you leave.